Hello, greetings, welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at making some 128s in order for us to make some cool melodic kind of loopy stuff on the fly, and then what we can do is we can take that and we can glitch it out. But I want to show you this first before we do that, because I think this will give you a lot of stuff to play with. So the idea here is, let's have a look. I have some folders in here with 128 one-shots all at C, and they're all at C so that when we drag them in it'll remain laid out properly on the keyboard. Well, I mean, you can do it whichever way you want, but if you want things to, you know, stay tuned to how they normally are, do them at C. But yeah, you want a big folder full of 128, so it's worth spending time making a load of one-shots, just making one-shot stabs on synths, layering them up with instruments and stuff. What we're going to do is going to Control A, and I'm going to drag that into sampler. Right. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on Select. So the idea here with MIDI is that we have a range of 0 to 128. So for example, if we had it on velocity and we were to have it so that they were equally distributed by pressing distribute ranges equally. Now, every time I press a different velocity, so, you know, depending on how hard I press the keyboard, it'll trigger a completely different sample based on which value it gets. But what we're going to do with it is different. We're going to use select here. So we're going to distribute your ranges equally. And then what we're going to do is group this so that we have access to these macros by clicking this knob. And we're going to click map. And we've got to make sure it's on select. We've got to click this green section up here. And then click that. And now we can very, very, very quickly switch through. Lovely. So just while I experiment with this, we're going to put the release up a little bit. And what we want to do first then is get some macros and stuff set up. Actually, we'll add a bit of variation on here. So, but what I'm going to do then is pull the filter down and bring up the velocity. And when I add something like a piano, it's got a bit of a curve on it. Bring it random. And you can hear now we have a little bit of random filter movement. So that adds a little bit of humanity to proceedings. What else should we map to these macros? Actually, there's something else I'll show you very quickly. So we could add some FM onto this as well by clicking this. So if you didn't know yet, Sampler has a built-in FM system in here. So if you didn't know yet, Sampler has a built-in FM AM oscillator in here, which is fun. So we can even just set this really low and add some wobble. So it just brings in a little bit of a vibrato if we have it like that. And if you want to look at how we can use FM as an LFO, I have a video on that, which is here. So one fun thing we could do with this is put maybe some noise on here. Bring up a chorus a bit. And maybe put volume to velocity. And you can just have a hear that? It's got a little click in there now. Little random clicks coming through. So now the combination of those two things really adds a bit of humanization to things without having any sort of multi-sample going on. So let's see what else we could map onto here now. We could put on the pitch envelope, and we could map the amounts, the decay, something like that. Another thing that's a bit annoying about Sampler is that we can't map this to the voices. So if we wanted to make it monophonic on the fly, the easiest way to do this is to map the glide and then the glide time. Because now what we can do, I'll turn this up just so we can hear it a bit. So now it'll be on, yeah, portamento. So you can still play multiple notes at the moment, but it's got that glide going between them a bit. So it can be quite nice if we've got it quite low doing that. The combination of that and the pitch envelope, which we could maybe modulate as well. You can get some funky sounds out of that. But if we turn this all the way up, it'll go to glide mode. So now. So as you can hear, it's now monophonic. It does have a legato on there, but whatever. Maybe we could have a look at what the other folder sounds like. Actually, we'll delete these first. And one thing I forgot to do last time, which I'll show you now, distribute ranges equally. Not sure why that's over there. Sorry about that. I'm going to right click and normalize volumes. You can normalize pan, but I'm not going to bother this time. But yeah, because these are longer sounds, a lot of them, it's a bit easier. A bit easier to make use of that legato effect. Maybe not on that one. Just mean it's got a longer tail to it. Alright, and then let's maybe just stick, I don't know, tack decay. Or tack sustain release. That's what we'll use for now. Thank you. If we wanted to, we could add more macros onto here, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Because what I'm going to do is I'm now going to group this, duplicate this, and I'm going to call this 1 and this 2 for now. And what I'm going to do is, firstly, I'm just going to map all these on both of these the same as they are here, so I'm just going to do that. And I'm just going to relabel these as well. And the reason why I've got this second one here is I'm going to detune it by, let's say, actually what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to map the detune from this one onto, okay, so I guess I've realised I do need another macro, so what I need to do is map the detune onto here. So I have to do it on this one first of all, detune, and same on this one. I'm going to have to map the detune here. And now we're going to map detune here, as so. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to where the detune is, and we're going to set the minimum to 0, plus 20 and minus 20. So now and what I've just realised as well is we don't actually need this. What we can do is we could remove this and then map the speaker to the detune. So now actually as well, I'll change that. I'll change this from plus 20, I'll change it to 30. So we've got a little bit more room to go out of the, to push the boundaries if you really want to. So now you get a kind of Reese effect, because you've got two oscillators that are just a bit out of tune. And as it's pushing both of the oscillators in opposite directions, you get a really nice even kind of, yeah, Reese sound. And because this is just an off-on, it kicks in at 50%, so. So we can have a little bit of detune, more detune, or no detune. Now this can sound especially cool with kind of live instruments and stuff like that, so let's delete all of these. And do the same on here. Select, Control A, distribute equally, Select distribute equally. Wherever you've gone. Out my way. Out my way. Right. Distribute equally. Alright, so now these are both... So now these are all mapped. So let's give that a go. So now you can hear without the detune. Very nice. Maybe I won't put it all the way up because then we want to stay around plus 20 really is my aim. 20 and 20 is kind of the goal really. For me anyway. And then because we've got that kind of Reese thing going on as well, if we go further down, you can hear it gets slower, the kind of wob 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 between the two oscillators. So it's a good way of making some interesting basses doing this. Just like a violin or something like that. I feel like kind of like White Armour kind of Reese-based kind of sort of sound. And now what we can do is use these to jam out some stuff, which we can then take and run through some glitchy effects and kind of... And then we can take that stuff, run it through some glitchy effects that we've made and build on it, iterate on it and kind of use it as the... and then start using chaos and randomness to build upon it. But it's not really the starting point that's important for now. But you might equally use this method and write something great just from this. So, you know, it's just no right way of doing it. Another thing to mention is it's an incredibly effective way of setting up drum racks. If you've got like 128 kicks, 128 snares, etc., etc., and then you've got it mapped so you can record each one onto a channel, and then you get it all set up, get it mapped around, and you can jam out drum ideas essentially, change the drums on the fly, find the ones that work for the song. And it can be a little bit too much sometimes. Sometimes it's better just to drag some stuff in, you know. But if you want a new way of working, it's a very fun way of jamming out doing this. So now I have set up a couple of these 128s, and I'm going to show you what else I've set up as well. I've set up a drum rack here, which has each pad contains a 128. I don't know, it's got an envelope folder on it. I don't think that's particularly relevant. But yeah, it has a 128 on it with lots of different drums. So I've got all my kicks, snares, claps, hats, all that stuff. So what I could do if I wanted to is... one thing to mention as well is that the way this is working is this is muted. You might have wondered why this is muted. I have a group here. So I've got my kick and my snare. And the way this is working is all these have been routed to the drum rack and then sub-routed to each of the drums, pre-effects. So now, essentially, this is like a mixer for the drum rack. And we're going to stick on for this some record quantization. I've got it on 8th, so I want 16th notes for this, just so I can have a little bit more detail in the quantization. So let's give that a go. So there we go. Obviously needs a little bit of fixing up. So now if we open up the drum rack though, we start. If I wanted to, I could get my resampling channel over here and hit record. And the reason you got that weird roll there is because if we open up this one, and we go to sample, you can see how it's half yellow and half white here. So if we wanted to get rid of that, we could click that, and now all the samples will just be one shot. So they won't do that weird, like. Or if we wanted to keep it, I quite like it for this, so I'm gonna keep it there. So now I've got this drum beat I kind of like. It's not perfect, but it'll do for now, just while we're jamming. I'll get me drum bass out. Does the job. So now I've got my 128s, and I've got two groups here for, I'll rename these quickly, 128.1. Well, you know what I mean. 128.2. So now I've got lots of different audio channels in here, which I can, at the click of a button, start recording from, and I can just jam some stuff out if I like it. So we can do some cool routing with this if we've got a MIDI controller, and I'll get that done at a later date. We'll do a whole video on that. So we can build a pretty cool thing, so we can keep this looping. So then what we can do is we can press in so that it's triggering even though it's not recording, and then we can press record on one of these. Time maybe, so we can make it a bit slower. And then what we can do, just hit record again. Very nice. And then what we could do, maybe we could go a bit further down. Make a sort of Reese thing. So then we could maybe go a bit further down. So then we hit record. And obviously if we want to get this more in time, we can just open this, Control A, quantize. If we want to change the settings, open here. I've just realised I've got these labelled the wrong way around, but whatever, you get the gist. You could add some reggae chords and basically that's the general idea of it. You can use it to jam out stuff. There's a million different ways you can take this and set this up, so you've got your own sort of custom jamming setup. And the next step to go on from this will be to start introducing some randomized glitching out on top of this to create some stuff that we wouldn't have been able to come up with necessarily just writing stuff this way. But this is a good way of getting a nice sonic palette down very fast. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And yeah, I'll try and include the project file for this. Have a look for that in the description. Thank you very much.